So the NFL draft is currently 26 days away. Yes, 26 days, not that long. So 26 days until we find out where all these college athletes will end up, where their new teams will be, and their new homes. Now, I've been putting this off for a while. Obviously, we did an episode on our TikTok page of a mock draft, the first 10 picks, back about maybe a month or two ago, but we've never done a full mock draft. So this is going to be my full first round mock draft. Now, I'm going to be honest. The reason I've been putting this off so much is because, well, I don't know a lot about college ball. Obviously, I know the big teams, but I don't know the systems. I don't really know the coaching staff. I don't really know the players that are involved in it. So when it comes to an in-depth review on these players and why I'm picking them there, it won't be as in-depth. Obviously, it will be kind of more positional and what I think each team will need. So I would take this first round mock draft with a little bit of a grain of salt. There won't be too much of an in-depth on each player and how I feel about them on tape. As well as before we get into it, there is no trades in this mock draft. After I'm done filming this video, I will then make a mock draft with trades. So stay tuned for that in the near future. With that all being said though, I think I'm doing enough talking. Let's get into my first round mock draft with no trades. With the first overall pick, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting Bryce Young. Now I know what a lot of people are thinking. It is a toss-up between C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. And the reason I'm giving Bryce Young a little bit more of an edge than C.J. Stroud is, well, his potential. Look, the floor for Bryce Young is sky high. The guy's a Heisman winner. He was a winner at Alabama. And I know his height is one thing that could really tank his draft stock to go second overall, but I just feel like he's more of a game changer than C.J. Stroud. Look, C.J. Stroud is a great quarterback and I love his story, but I feel like Bryce Young is just the guy that the Panthers traded up for. Look, you don't give away your best young receiver and all those picks for this not to be Bryce Young. And that's not a knock on C.J. Stroud. I love C.J. Stroud. And honestly, it's really hard to predict where the Panthers are going to go with this. Because honestly, they've been giving every single quarterback they visited towards pro days, the Google eyes, and like they're a fresh piece of meat. But at the end of the day, I have the Panthers selecting Bryce Young just because Bryce Young, I feel like his floor and his ceiling is way higher than C.J. Stroud. With the second overall pick, I have the Houston Texans selecting, obviously, C.J. Stroud. Obviously, I said it was going to be a toss-up between C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, and I feel like the Texans are just going to get the next best guy available, and that is C.J. Stroud. To me, the Texans need a guy that can start right away. And to me, C.J. Stroud is really the only guy available that can start week one. And a lot of people have been kind of worried about his pro availability and the way he plays. He's not really a dynamic quarterback. Like, I wouldn't consider him a Lamar Jackson, but he can get work done with his legs. He's got a great arm. He's got great poise in the pocket. He's a very good sized quarterback. And honestly, I think that game against Georgia showed he can play at a pro level. I just feel like Stroud, when it comes to NFL readiness, is a little bit more polished than Young, but I do think that Young still has the potential. But like I said, Texans need a guy to start right away, and that is C.J. Stroud. With the third overall pick, I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting Will Anderson Jr. Now look, since J.J. Watt retired, they really have no good defensive tackles or edge rushers. They traded away Zach Allen to the Broncos, and look, there are holes all over this Arizona roster. But with the third overall pick, I am selecting Will Anderson Jr. just to fill up that edge spot. Look, this kid is a game changer. He's an absolute monster, and I think they need him to compete in the NFC West. With the fourth overall pick, I have the Indianapolis Colts selecting Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky. Now, the Colts wouldn't be stupid to not take a quarterback here. And Will Levis just kind of feels like a Colts quarterback. Does he have that feel? I feel like he has that Andrew Luck kind of feel to him. I know he seems a little bit more of a raw product, but I feel like that's why they brought in Gardner Minshew. Now, Gardner Minshew might be the guy that starts week one for the Colts, but I feel like he's going to be a very good quarterback to kind of hold the place in for maybe 2-3 weeks. Or if they want to throw Levis into the fire and have him go start all 17 games. If you go check out our video where we compared Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon when they both got hired by the Colts and the Arizona Cardinals respectively, Shane Steichen is a very good quarterback developer. He had a hand in Justin Herbert's development with the Chargers, and obviously had a hand in Jalen Hurts' development with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I feel like the Colts are just going to ditch the get the veteran guy who has been very, very bad for the last few years and just get their guy in Will Levis at 4. With the fifth overall pick, I have the Seattle Seahawks selecting Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. Now, I know Jalen Carter is still available at this point in my draft, but I feel like the Seattle Seahawks need an edge guy, and Tyree Wilson is that edge guy. I know currently he's dealing with an injury, which really didn't let him go out to participate in his pro day at Texas Tech, but the guy is an absolute monster. I mean, he is terrifying when you look at him compared to a normal human being. I mean, look at this picture with Peter Schrager and Tyree Wilson. I mean, he clears the guy. I mean, you don't even know Peter Schrager's there. All right, look at the wingspan. Look, I know the Seattle Seahawks should go with defensive tackle here, but I like them taking edge Tyree Wilson just because of his floor. I know people have been saying he's not as polished of an edge rusher like Myles Murphy, but I really do like Tyree Wilson. I like his game. I feel like he could be that game changer on defense for the Seattle defense, who is very, very young. With the 6th overall pick, I have the Detroit Lions taking Jalen Carter, defensive lineman out of Georgia. Now, I know a lot of people are worried about his off-the-field issues. Obviously, being wanted for a misdemeanor and reckless driving is not great on Jalen Carter's part. Frankly, it came up at the worst time for him. And I know he was a little bit overweight in his pro day and seemed to be out of it. But I mean, who wouldn't be on a human-to-human basis? You were a projected 1st overall pick, now you're dropping to 6th or even lower. I still think he goes in the top 10 though. You spent the last few months really dealing with this misdemeanor charge and having a warrant for your arrest at the combine. So I think we should cut Carter a little bit of slack when it comes to him being out of it with his pro day. Look, when Jalen Carter's in it, he's an absolute monster on the field. There's a reason he was projected to be the 1st overall pick not that long ago. Look, if all of this was still not out there, I'm sure he'd be a top 3 pick. And I love pairing him with Aiden Hutchinson. Look, I know the Lions really beefed up their defensive line this offseason, but Jalen Carter is a game changer, man, and I really love pairing him with Aiden Hutchinson and that defensive line and in that defense. Look, I think the Lions are going places, and I'm going to make a video about that very, very soon. Adding Jalen Carter would just help their defense so much in both the run game and a pass rush. With the 7th overall pick, I have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting cornerback Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Now, I know, previous mock drafts, I have had them selecting a quarterback here. But I feel like the Raiders are going to wait a little bit because they still just got Jimmy Garoppolo. And I feel like corner is very much their need right now. Look, the Raiders secondary has been poor for years. Frankly, when Jalen Ramsey, before he got traded to the Miami Dolphins, I was really certain he would go to the Raiders because that's how bad their secondary has been. So I had them selecting Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois, who I think is the best corner out of this class. I also like Christian Gonzalez in this class as well, but I feel like Devin Witherspoon is the closest thing you have to a lockdown guy in this draft. Like I said, the Raiders secondary has been piss poor for years, so I think Devin Witherspoon is their guy to be the lockdown corner that they need in the AFC West. With the 8th overall pick, I have the Atlanta Falcons selecting edge Myles Murphy out of Clemson. Look, the Falcons just signed Calais Campbell to be their defensive tackle, and they really need to bolster that pass rush because it has been bad for the last 2 years and even longer. I think Myles Murphy is that guy, and I think the Falcons need a guy like Myles Murphy to come off the edge. Look, the NFC South is wide open, and you need a pass rush to win games in the NFC South, or at least help you. With the 9th overall pick, I have the Chicago Bears taking Peter Skoronski, tackle out of Northwestern. Look, the Bears have done phenomenal this offseason. They really have. Hats off for Ryan Poles. Look, you're trading down to the 9th overall pick, but I love Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern. A lot of analysts have said that Peter Skoronski is the most polished tackle out of this whole NFL draft class. And why not protect Justin Fields even more with a guy like Peter Skoronski, who has spent a lot of time in college, has a lot of experience, and has played very, very well. With the 10th overall pick, I have safety Brian Branch going to the Eagles. Now, I know Brian Branch has got a lot of slack recently because of his pro day and his combine and all that. And I know people are gonna really cut me on this one just because him being a top 10 pick is not really seen as possible right now. But in terms of just need, I feel like the Eagles have to take a safety here. Look, they let Marcus Epps go. They let CJ Gardner-Johnson go. They need to get a guy like Brian Branch, who doesn't just play safety. He is dynamic. He has played nickel. He has played dime. He has played basically cornerback. He's a smart guy. He's a smart football player, and that's why they loved him at Alabama. Honestly, I feel like Belichick would like him a lot more, but I feel like the Eagles need that guy who can bolster their safety position once again. With the 11th overall pick, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting Paris Johnson Jr., tackle out of Ohio State. Now, this is also on positional need, but Mike Vrabel was caught coaching Paris Johnson at his pro day, and I feel like all signs are pointing to Paris Johnson becoming a Tennessee Titan. Now, the Tennessee Titans have currently shut down rumors that Derrick Henry is on the trade block, which we don't know if that is still true or not, but I feel like if you're going to bolster your offensive line, you need to get Paris Johnson Jr. Look, the Tennessee Titans have a lot of holes right now, and not even Mike Vrabel can save them right now. As well as they just let Taylor Lewan go, so I know Mike Vrabel loves his polished offensive tackles. With the 12th overall pick, the Houston Texans are picking again, and I have them taking wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State. Look, I know a lot of people have been very low on Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State this draft season, but I love the idea of pairing him with his college quarterback CJ Stroud. JSN has been very good at Ohio State, so much so that Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave thought that he was the better receiver out of both of them. Now look, I know he doesn't come off as the most shifty guy or the fastest guy, but this guy is a dynamic wide receiver. If you need any more tape, go look at his Rose Bowl film. That shit is crazy. And with Brandon Cooks gone, the Texans need a wide receiver 1 and need chemistry with their new quarterback. JSN doesn't need to build chemistry. He already has it with CJ Stroud. With the 13th overall pick, I have the New York Jets selecting Broderick Jones, tackle out of Georgia. Look, Mekhi Becton has just not been healthy and has not played good in his time in the NFL. And look, the Jets are currently on a streak for moving on from their first round picks, so why not move on from Mekhi Becton to Broderick Jones? Look, the Jets, if they're going to get Aaron Rodgers, need to protect him, and they need Broderick Jones to protect Aaron Rodgers. So whoever is your quarterback, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Zach Wilson, they could use the protection, and honestly, I don't really see a way you can upgrade anywhere else. The Jets' defense is good. Their wide receiver room is good. Their tight end room is questionable, but I mean, it's tight end room. They got a great running back in Breece Hall when he's back healthy. If they get Aaron Rodgers, which they're 90% certain they will get Aaron Rodgers, you need to protect that guy because when he is not healthy, like we saw last season, he is not the same quarterback. With the 14th overall pick, I had the New England Patriots selecting edge Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. Now, I know the Patriots have a lot of edge players, but I like Lucas Van Ness as a project for the Patriots. Just because on their position, I don't really feel like they need anything else really. I feel like they need a guy that can just get to the quarterback besides Matt Judon. I also like Josh Uche too, even though I'm a Bills fan, but I like them getting another edge guy and Lucas Van Ness to just move around that front seven. With the 15th overall pick, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting wide receiver Quentin Johnson out of TCU. Look, Jordan Love needs weapons if he's going to be their guy in Green Bay. And as though I don't really like Quentin Johnson too much, I feel like he doesn't really play like that big body receiver he should be playing like. There's no doubting that he has potential and talent. Look, he was a main staple in that TCU offense that did amazing things this collegiate season. So the Packers need another guy to pair with Christian Watson, and Quentin Johnson is that guy. With the 16th overall pick, I have the Commanders selecting tight end Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. Same thing goes. If Sam Howell is their quarterback of the future, they need to give him weapons. And Dalton Kincaid is arguably the best tight end in this draft class. I mean, the guy is shifty, the guy is good with his hands, the guy is fast, and he is a very good pass catcher. Imagine pairing him with Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, and man, he will get open, right? And you need a good offense in the NFC East. With the likes of the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Commanders need to make a splash on their offense and need to play better. Dalton Kincaid can help them play better. I know he's currently going through a back injury, but he will be good to go by the time draft day comes around. With the 17th overall pick, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting Joey Porter Jr., quarterback out of Penn State. I mean, for one, how can I not put Joey Porter's son on the Steelers? Two, they lost Cam Sutton to the Lions, and they need to bolster that quarterback room, man. Look, Patrick Peterson is not your long-term answer. It's Joey Porter Jr. So why not give Peterson and Porter a go? Look, Porter could learn under Peterson. He can learn under guys like Levi Wallace, and imagine pairing him up with a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick. Look, offensive line is another need for the Steelers right now, but I feel like cornerback is a very dire need position more than offensive line. With the 18th overall pick, I have the Detroit Lions selecting cornerback Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Look, to me, Gonzalez is the second best corner on this list, and I know the Lions just traded for Cam Sutton and Emmanuel Mosley from the 49ers, but you don't really know what you have in Jeff Okudah yet, and that's kind of concerning because he was a first-round pick. I feel like Gonzalez is not a Sauce Gardner, but he's a very good lockdown corner, and the Lions honestly need a lockdown corner. I think he's better than Sutton. I think he's better than Jeff Okudah. I think he's better than Emmanuel Mosley. He should be the number one corner in that room. With the 19th overall pick, I have the Tampa Buccaneers taking Anton Harris, tackle out of Oklahoma. Look, I think the Bucs are in the same boat as the Cardinals. They have holes everywhere. But with the release of Donovan Smith, I feel like Anton Harris is the guy to replace him in that offensive line room. I know Anthony Richardson is still available in this mock draft, but I feel like the Bucs are going to put their faith in Kyle Trask or Baker Mayfield, which I think is stupid, but I feel like it's something the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will end up doing. I know they have holes on defense on the edge and in the corner room and on the defensive line in front seven, but that offensive line group looked abysmal last season with Tom Brady under center. So I feel like the priority for the Buccaneers is just to get this offensive line shape before they work on anything else. With the 20th overall pick, I have the Seattle Seahawks selecting quarterback Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Now I know for Anthony Richardson to fall this low in this draft is kind of crazy, but Geno Smith is not a young buck anymore. He's played well, absolutely, but I feel like Pete Carroll is going to get the guy to replace him and be the dynamic offensive guy for them in the future. Look, he's the dynamic guy at their center. He's absolutely massive, and I feel like the Seahawks would get a steal if they picked him at 20. With the 21st overall pick, I have the Chargers selecting Zay Flowers, wide receiver out of Boston College. Look, I know right now Austin Eckler's future is up in the air, but I feel like the Chargers will just end up paying him. I feel like their wide receiver room is kind of lacking besides Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And it always feels like only one of them can be healthy and only one of them can play. So either Keenan's playing or Mike is playing. And Keenan is getting up there in age, so much so they were looking to cut him this offseason. Zay Flowers is a dynamic guy, and I think they need a third guy to be a game changer for Justin Herbert. With the 22nd overall pick, I have the Ravens selecting Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC. Now I know his draft stock has tanked tremendously since his combine. See, Jordan Addison was seen as the wide receiver 1 in this draft class. Now he's kind of seen as the wide receiver 2, and I like the Ravens selecting him. Look, we don't know what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. We don't know if he's going to stay or if he's going to go, and he's apparently put a trade request in on March 2nd. But as of currently, he is playing on the tag, and whether or not he's going to play on the tag, he's going to need weapons. And Jordan Addison is that guy. They need a wide receiver 1 to pair with Rashad Bateman, because Rashad Bateman was not the wide receiver 1. Jordan Addison can step up and play as a wide receiver 1 in the NFL. He's got the talent, he's got the ability, and I love him coming out of USC. With the 23rd overall pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting Deontay Banks, cornerback out of Maryland. Look, Brian Flores needs to show up that secondary problem because it has been an issue. And Deontay Banks is a very good corner coming out of Maryland. I love everything about his game. I feel like he's a very good corner, and he's the number 1 guy that they need to be in that cornerback room to replace Patrick Peterson. I'm not sure if the Vikings will be good this year, but I know that Deontay Banks will be a very good addition to their defense, and I know Brian Flores would love that. With the 24th overall pick, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Kalijah Kancey out of Pitt. Look, Kalijah Kancey is a very good defensive lineman, and I think to pair him with Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker will make that front 7 even better. Look, it's kind of hard because they really are very good on all sides of the ball, maybe corner and maybe even safety. But how could I not put Kalijah Kancey in with the Jaguars? Look, I know Trayvon Walker didn't have this crazy breakout year in his rookie year, but I feel like Kalijah Kancey could kind of help that. You already have a very good pass rusher in Josh Allen, and he will pretty much open up Trayvon Walker, who didn't play bad in his rookie year. And frankly, I just love this trio together. With the 25th overall pick, I have the New York Giants selecting wide receiver Josh Downs out of North Carolina. Now I know Josh Downs is kind of considered more of a second round guy. But when it comes to wide receivers after Jordan Addison, it's kind of slim pickings here. I know the Giants have gotten a lot of guys in this free agency to kind of shore up their wide receiver problem. But I feel like none of them can really be that guy for them except Darius Slayton. I love the idea of pairing the speedy Josh Downs with Isaiah Hodgins, and I feel like Daniel Jones would love a guy like Josh Downs in his offense. With the 26th overall pick, this hurts my heart, I give the Dallas Cowboys Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas. Look, Bijan Robinson is seen as the Saquon Barkley of this NFL draft. And the Cowboys cut Zeke for a reason, to free up space for a guy like Bijan Robinson. Look, his numbers are video game-like, he plays so smooth, and he is a very good running back. Look, the guy is an absolute superstar, and I do not see a guy like Jerry Jones passing on a guy like Bijan Robinson if he's there at 26. With the 27th overall pick, I have my Buffalo Bills selecting defensive lineman Brian Bresee out of Clemson. Now, I know a lot of Bills fans are looking for corner or maybe even an edge here or even a wide receiver, but I think the issue here is the front 7. Look, Ed Oliver's made some very cryptic Instagram stories saying he wants out, and I like pairing a guy like Bresee with Greg Rousseau, Von Miller, and if Ed Oliver says, Ed Oliver. Look, the guy is a top 10 talent, and if he fell this fall to 27, I feel like he could definitely help up that front 7 for the Buffalo Bills. With the 28th overall pick, I have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting tight end Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. Now, I know Michael Mayer has kind of dropped stock as well. I know he's seen more as a blocking tight end than a receiver, but I just couldn't help but putting him in an offense with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. They lost Hayden Hurst to free agency to the Carolina Panthers, and Michael Mayer is a young guy that can pair with Joe Burrow very, very well. With the 29th overall pick, I have the New Orleans Saints selecting O'Cyrus Torrence, guard out of Florida. Look, I love everything about O'Cyrus Torrence. He's a very good guard, and he is the best guard out of this draft class. The guy is an absolute monster, and why not put him on an already stellar offensive line with the New Orleans Saints? Like I said, you need a very good offensive line to win football games, and why not bolster that line in the NFC South? With the 30th overall pick, I have the Eagles coming back and selecting edge Nolan Smith out of Georgia. Look, Nolan Smith combine numbers, if we were just going off of that, would make him a top 10 pick. But Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox are already getting older. The Eagles have lost a lot of people when it comes to the pass rush. So why not pair their very good defensive line and edge rushers with a guy like Nolan Smith, who was very good in college, who was very athletic, and very, very fast. The Eagles need to be able to get to the quarterback, especially with all their losses, and I feel like Nolan Smith is the guy to do that. With the 31st and the final pick of this mock draft and the first round, I had the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Felix Dike Uzama out of Kansas State. Look, they let Frank Clark walk, and I think they're going to replace him with a guy like the Kansas State edge rusher. Look, Felix is a very good edge rusher, and he is an absolute diamond in the rough when it comes to a first-round pick. Look, the Chiefs kind of found success with George Karlaftis, and they're hoping he takes a step up in year 2. So why not get a very good guy who is very fast, very athletic in Uzama to help that pass rush even more? Especially get guys like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and the list goes on. With that all being said though, that wraps up my first mock draft of draft season. So stay subscribed to this channel so you guys can see the next mock draft that we release with trades. And let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about my draft. Am I wrong on putting some guys at very high value, picking some guys pretty late? And where do you think some of these guys will end up? With that being said though, I have been Josh from S.H.T Sports, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.